Good evening. How you guys doing tonight? I had a really great day today. Just started off, I woke up and I was alive. I didn't say too many stupid things today. Didn't get any arguments. The sun was out. It was pretty warm and nice in the sun. I hope you guys had a good day as well. A great day. Finally got some more seeds in the ground. I planted some more carrots and turnips and some spinach collards and kale. Hopefully they do well. God is so amazing. He does so many good things for people, especially for me. I mean, not especially for me, but that's all I have to go by as far as first-hand accounts. It gives people air to breathe, food to eat, gives people a chance to come down here to this place and earn their bread. When I ran out of the carrot seeds that the package of seeds that I've been working out of, and I thought about getting into some of the seeds that I bought to plant some more. But I figured I've got thousands and thousands of seeds from last year that I still haven't processed, sitting in the basement. So I figured I'd just go down there and grind up a an umbel and use those for planting. And I didn't think about it till after I started grinding them up to winnow to plant about how last year when I was processing them to put away, winnowing them and cleaning them up, just how amazing they smell. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense that that seeds from a root that grow out of the ground would smell like a basket of fresh oranges, like the most wonderful, amazing oranges a person could ever smell. And the only clue or connection that carrot has with an orange is the color. That's the only thing that makes any kind of sense. That's why, as far as why it smells like that. They they smell really, really great. It's I said that before this world was created, all the souls were just sitting up in the upper worlds, just sucking in or the light of God. It's really hard for any human being to comprehend what that means, other than just the an unimaginable abundance of pleasure and fulfillment in the most real way. Something that people can't imagine, because the upper worlds are not limited. They're not limited by physicality, by human senses, or by time. There are no limitations like there are here. So for who knows how long, everyone just was sitting around just basically being freeloaders, like the original EBT program. They call it the bread of shame, where a person receives their sustenance, or blessings or gifts, or whatever goodness, without any effort. So the souls kind of felt guilty. Really, that's all of us. We felt like freeloaders. So the Holy One, the source of everything, for a way to earn our bread. By this point, which I'm not sure if you can even call it a point, because time doesn't exist up there or out there, wherever it is. Mostly it's called up because it's a higher spiritual state. It's not like physically necessarily up, but before the world was created, the Torah was already, God had already written the Torah. And so he looked into the Torah and created the world. And that's what everything is made out of. Everything that people see and don't see, everything that is observable or measurable, even things not visible by the eye. Everything is formed from the three characteristics of all the letters of the Holy Language. The shape of every letter, the sound that it makes as it's pronounced, the vibrations, and the number that you go through. But before God spoke the ten utterances in the beginning of the Torah that created the world, he created Teshuvah because he knew this place was going to be really rough. And it just wasn't going to work out for people if they didn't have a roadmap to fix things when they screw up. Not that it's not really rough a lot of times, as it is. But if people use the roadmap, if they read the owner's manual for life, it's so much easier. Infinitely better. Even the bad things become good. It may be difficult to see them in the moment for what they really are. But they are good. Even fear and terror. Because unfortunately, people are really stupid. And living in a body is so distracting from and corruptive and challenging to focus on what a person is supposed to do, even when they do have the roadmap for life that is the Torah. Without fear, it's most people just aren't going to make it very long. Just on the good things alone, and the proof of that is in the pudding, as they say. if a person doesn't have fear and they don't hold that in their mind, it's just too easy to do something that's really not good for a person. And will eventually lead to a lot of very, very painful things, both in this world and outside of it. I'm not sure if many people really comprehend the magnitude of what happens, I guess, at all in this world with their own acts, let alone what happens when a person leaves this world and goes to their final court date. In the court of heaven, and then where they go after their sentence. There's a common phrase that a lot of rabbis use for Gehinnom, and a lot of the people that seem to have not paid attention or ignored certain teachings kind of imply that they call it the dry cleaner, the heavenly dry cleaner. And that's basically what it is. It is to clean the soul. But it's not just like you take a shirt to some place and pay $3.95 to get it cleaned and pressed. It's like you I think most people that use that phrase don't fully think about what happens to a suit or a shirt or an article of clothing when it gets dry cleaned. It gets like sprayed with noxious chemicals and blasted with heat and steam and spun around at like 8,000 RPMs. I mean, it's pretty hard to get some stains out. And then a lot of people totally ignore the teachings for certain crimes people commit, where the judgment is they're never coming out, at least not as a soul. You get completely obliterated into what is essentially the raw elements that created the spark that animates life. And so they no longer exist. but only after what is essentially an eternity. And because there's no time up there, it doesn't matter if you think it's only 12 months that you spend in Gehinnom. It's like imagine like in Final Cut Pro or video editing software, you can take a 12-second clip of video and you can stretch it out so it's like 20 times slower. So 12 seconds turns into like almost 3 minutes, or whatever the calculation is. But in heaven, there are no limitations to how long that clip of time gets stretched. It can't get stretched to infinity because that would mean there would be no end. The soul eventually gets obliterated completely and recycled back to where it came from. But it could be just short of eternity, according to the perception of the soul as it's in Gehinnom, being burned by all kinds of fire and having an image or a heavenly simile of a body that the soul is kind of built into as it gets burned or ripped apart. Over and over and over again, depending on what sin a person committed and how many times. How many times they did it. And then there's Kafakela. That's totally separate from Gehinnom. Where two of the ministering angels position themselves at opposing ends of the universe. And hurl the soul at what I could only assume would probably be like something equivalent or even past light speed from one end of the universe to the next, or to the other, back and forth. When that process doesn't clean the soul, it's just just like retribution for how screwed up that person made the world, and how badly they failed at life. One thing about the limitations here that aren't there, in the upper worlds, is Here, there's a limit to the amount of pleasure a person can have, and there's a limit to the amount of pain and suffering a person can go through. But in the upper worlds, there is no limit to either. And the soul feels everything to a heightened sense that I don't think anyone can fully even begin to grasp. So while being hurled from one end of the universe to the other might not seem like it's that big a deal or torturous, imagine if like all your nerves were on fire. To the nth degree. You had some serious nervous system disorder, and that because of that heightened awareness, you could sense the speed that you're being flung through space with, and the sensations that you would feel would be like being bombarded with the most intense energy and sensations that were so hard to describe. Other than just being extremely uncomfortable and anxiety inducing. And being stuck in that cycle for however long. In a state so intense and uncomfortable that you can't, you definitely can't talk, but you also can't even really think. Other than you want this to stop right now. It's said that occasionally souls that are sent to Kapakila escape when they come down into this world, trying to hide for just a little bit of a break. And so they'll hide in a rock or a tree or something. And being in for a soul to be in an inanimate object is not not pleasant. I personally wish to try to limit the amount of those experiences that I have to go through once I leave this world. And I know that the only way that is possible is if I not only do teshuva, I try to fix all the things that I've done wrong, but also to try to help others to see that it would be in their best interest to try to do the same. Because there are so many things that I've screwed up. I know it's going to be next to impossible just to remember all of them, let alone, track down the owner of the store that I stole candy from like 30 years ago to give them like $5.38 or whatever for however many pieces of candy I stole. Let alone the more horrible things that I've done. Plus, I also have to do it because I have to be grateful. I have to show my love for God. And that is the only way how that I can. And just pray for the guidance that as I'm trying to get closer, that I am granted the assistance to learn and to see and accept the truth and apply it to my life before I screw things up any worse. Even though I may have the best intentions in that moment. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have a lot of work to do. Maybe you guys are all perfect angels. And you're just here to help everyone else. It's still bumbling in the dark. You guys want to talk about something positive now? Like beautiful, beautiful, lovely things. Beauty is definitely in the eye of the beholder. I had a really weird dream or not last night, but I mean, I did last night, but a couple nights ago. You guys uh, should have seen Doug's NWO video. Do you recall the section where I think it's Dianne Feinstein's talking about how America still plays the role of the great Satan? And Doug used these weird clips of like a montage of facial recognition kind of software, like morphing one face to the next. So like shifts from like a blonde woman to a Latino woman to a dude, and then it just keeps like shifting. I first saw the first couple of minutes of that like in like October or November of I think 2020. I didn't realize what it was. I thought it was just some conspiracy video. Apologies to the guy on ARFCOM that posted that. I have a bad habit of jumping to conclusions, and the the stuff most people post is also leads me to assume the worst in the things that other people post, especially when it's in someone I don't know. But the first time I tried to watch the whole thing, I was already trying to watch my eyes. I got about 10 minutes in, and I had a hard time getting through the next few seconds of what most people consider beauty. Anyway, in this dream, I was having a face-to-face with a Satan's wife. most of the time, even since I realized that's what it was, it's really difficult to like be aware of that in the dream. To have uh, to have the intellect override the the will of desire to see what the truth really is. Occasionally, I've had the clarity, but it's usually like from a distance before it gets that close. This time it was really weird. It was like it was rolling through like avatars, and I couldn't tell if it was like on a wheel where like one body would rotate off to the side and another one would like show up like in front of my face. All I could realize was like there was like one and two, and then it settled on a third one, and they were all totally different looking creatures in the shape of a woman. But then when it settled on this last one, the even though the rough form was there, like the facial features were still like shifting around till it figured out what was the most, you know, what had the most likelihood of success of getting me to fail. And it was like in that moment that I realized what was going on. And I don't think I physically pushed her away, but that was what I thought in my head. And it was like it just like slowly shrunk and or diminished from my sight, like it disappeared into a vantage point. Just it's moments like that that I'm very grateful for. I had another dream this morning. Wasn't quite as intense or life threatening. It was mostly just mundane until the end, or like towards the end anyway. I was in some hotel, like a complex or something. It was like some complex where people would go to stay, like for vacation or like a kind of like a bed and breakfast, but it was like massive. Some big place that had like different bars and restaurants and like these massive old rooms. And it was really weird. Most hotels, people come and stay in groups like alone, but this place the rooms were so huge, or not really that big, I guess, but there was like multiple families and groups in every room. Like most of the dream, I was like trying to like fumble around to get something to eat and then try to find my way back to the room to go to sleep. And I loaned my extra pillow to some Mormon family that was staying in a room like down the hall. And they had like, I don't know, like 6 kids or something like that. And they were all sleeping in this one giant bed. So I went to go get my pillow back. And when I got there, like as soon as I asked them for my pillow, they all like got under the covers and then like laid one on top of each other. It's really weird. They were like, they like wouldn't answer me with anything that made any sense. It was like they were acting like they were trying to find the pillow, but really weren't. So I eventually kind of gave up, and I realized there was like at least two other families staying in there in other beds. And the one that I realized or paid attention to was this was weird. It's like a family of it's like a family of Romans, like dressed in like robes and like traditional Roman garb. And they were the only people that had 2 beds. The parents were in one bed, and then there was like 2 like teenage or young ladies or something in this other bed. And their robes that they were wearing were like red, white, and blue. Like not stars and stripes, but like kind of like a thinner line version of the Union Jack. But I couldn't really tell exactly what the pattern was, other than there was like mostly white with red and blue bars or bands. And the young women had on like these face coverings. They look like a combination of like a veil or like a shemagh or like a neck gaiter pulled up over their nose. And I thought, wow, that's nice. These are modest ladies covering their face. I didn't get the impression it was for viral protection or compliance or whatever. But I'm not sure if my initial assumption of modesty was accurate. Then all of a sudden I realized that there's another family, like kind of in the corner of the room next to them, and they kind of start like they both had like 2 teenage or like younger daughters, and both the girls of each family start arguing with each other about like I mean this other family was Jewish, and they were talking about the being in exile and the destruction of the temple and how it really sucked. When the Romans started arguing with them, like basically oppression Olympics kind of stuff. What they said didn't make any sense at all. But I can, I mean, at least not on the face. They were like, I can't remember how much time they said they've been waiting or something, but it seemed like longer than 2,000 years. And they were like, "You're waiting for a building. We're waiting for a planet." I was like, "What the hell does that mean? What planet?" Then I decided to leave, and I think my plan was to go to sleep, but for some reason I just left the entire building. I was just like wandering in some suburban mall wasteland, trying to get back to who knows where. I mean, not inside the mall, like outside in the parking lot and parking structures. It was weird though. I like was going from one parking area to the next, and thought there was like this little wall. I jumped over it, and it was like 15 feet drop, and I had to use my gimpy arm to catch myself on the ledge so I didn't drop all the way to the bottom, really fast. That was weird. My arm worked totally perfectly, like better than perfectly. Like I was able to catch myself, my entire weight. And I just kind of slid down the wall and then kept on running into the sunset. I can't tell if that's Mars or not. Looks super red. That was what I thought about when they said planet for some reason. At least like at the time in the dream, and then shortly after I woke up. But I don't know. It's really weird. The red, white, and blue does make sense though. The, the Jews say that that America is basically like the Rome. I'm not sure if it's the current, or I think I've heard most people say that it's the last incarnation of Edom. And America is the government is basically founded on the ideas of the Roman Republic. And everything pretty much everywhere is from its inception, and all the government buildings and all the statues and towers and paintings and it's all full of Greek and Roman idolatry. like the ceiling of one of the Capitol buildings has like this really disgusting painting where George Washington is like sitting in the throne of heaven, surrounded by all these other people and different false idols. Most dreams are mostly nonsense stuff that a person sees or hears, during the day. You just get stuffed into a person's head to uh, make a TV scramble to occupy their mind at night. At least the early dreams, like like early in the night. It's the ones when a person's in a deep sleep in the morning that are more real. At least most of the time. Well, most people, including myself, are still far too corrupted to make any sense of what they really mean, what they're trying to say. Other than the obvious fact that people's kids are probably going to be squabbling over nonsense. And some deal about some planet. I heard Rabbi Alon Anava mention Planet X, but it's mentioned in, I'm not sure if it's the Torah or the Talmud and the Zohar. It's definitely in the Zohar though, but it's they call it the Star of Yaakov. I don't know why the Romans would be waiting for that though. Not that any of that makes much difference about anything. There's no actionable intelligence there. At least nothing that nothing that would change my mind or change my actions or the things that I need to do. guess not really. There's always that danger. I wonder. Maybe it's a sign to stop arguing with Romans, or not to start. That could be of some use. Good evening, Lee. How are you doing? Yeah, the on your work media work comment, right before I started this stream, I was watching the start of Rabbi Mizrachi's last lecture, where he warns people against making snap judgments, and both him and Rabbi Aaron Rubin have both said basically, not everyone is as innocent as they seem, and you shouldn't pick sides. And Rabbi Mizrachi specifically said that everyone's basically painting Putin as an evil dictator that's out to rule the world, and there's lots of people in the Jewish community that are like have been convinced to be anti-Putin because there's yeshivas and Orthodox observant communities in Ukraine, and when there are. But the stupid things that come out of people's mouths, especially the opinions of the general public, have no weight to alter what happens in the world, other than to further destroy it. And he specifically mentioned that Putin had this is my own 2 cents, what appears to be a great admiration and respect for observant Jews. He told this story basically because when he was young, his parents weren't exactly the most ideal, and he was kind of left to fend for himself. And his apartment complex, or whatever ghetto communist housing that he lived in when he was a kid, there was an observant Jewish family that lived there, and they would feed him and kind of look after him when his parents weren't around or neglecting him or whatever. And they would teach him some Torah. then the most important thing that they've all mentioned is that God runs the world. Whatever happens is ultimately up to Him. And the only thing people can do to change it is to do their best to observe the laws in the Torah that they're obligated to observe, whoever they are. Dreams are really weird. I've had a couple of dreams like that about your like garden cube, like a maze dream, or what do they call it, labyrinth. Not like being in the labyrinth, like your dream, but like being in someone else's house or someone else's life. Then there's like the standard kind of nostalgic dreams where I'm in like a house that I used to live in, but it's not that house. I'm not sure if anyone else knows or understands what I'm trying to say, but it's like you know, where it feels like it's where you used to live and it's your home, but like almost everything is totally different, or at least a lot of stuff is not the same. Like it's totally not the same place. Or it'll be like the exact same house in a totally different city or totally different environment. Like if you lived in this house in the desert or the mountains, and it was like, you know, in the dream it's at the beach or like, you know, on in the middle of Manhattan or something weird. Yeah, that's one thing I've learned about. Anytime a man sees a woman in a dream, it's best to just turn around, go the other way. If you have control of your faculties, because no matter what that woman looks like, it is not good, and it's not whoever they look like. Even if it's someone you know, even your wife. I've never had lucid dreams where I couldn't wake up, let alone uh, felt like I wanted to. I think at least half the lucid dreams I used to have, as soon as I would become lucid, I would basically be a more disgusting version of myself in real life in the dream, which is not good or productive at all. occasionally I would try to fulfill some kind of mission, find someone and teach them something or do something, but those weren't too often. I used to want to have lucid dreams where I could do more stuff like that, essentially practice low key witchcraft skills that I was convinced were good. Now, the only reason I want to lucid dream is to not waste seed. It's quite a severe change from past mindset and behavior. Yeah, most Mormons are really nice people. Your comment is a good segue into something I've been meaning to talk about evil speech. There's so many facets of evil speech. Once a person learns how many pitfalls there are to opening their mouth, and how severe the consequences are for the words that a person uses, the general tendency whenever I think about it is to want to just not talk unless it's about the truth and and the Torah, and whatever way I can try to work it into the conversation about whatever's going on in a way that won't get immediately shut down or scoffed at. One thing I found is it's an amazing icebreaker for not only my own uncomfortableness and not caring about trying to find the right words is about talking about Torah with people that aren't really believers or into anything like that is seriously horrible things. It's there's nothing like trauma and stress and stressful, horrible events that a person lives through to to take away all the reasons that a person finds to not open their mouths about something that's so direly urgent and so vitally important as eternity. But back to evil speech. One one thing I learned a while back about things a person should and shouldn't say. It's not good to make generalizing statements about groups of people. One, it's not true, because no matter how bad a group of people might be on the scale of probabilities and percentages, you're never going to find a group of people where they're 100% all a certain way, even if they're all good or all, it doesn't matter. And a person definitely shouldn't say negative things about a group of people, because in addition to it not being true and disparaging, and unless Shona Ra, it's also pretty much how do you do teshuva for calling all all members of a certain race or a certain country like stupid or bad or evil or whatever whatever people say, stupid things that I've said in the past. There's no way to do it. You'd have to you would literally have to spend your entire life like going around to every single Zimbabwean or whatever. You'd be like, I said horrible things about you guys. Please forgive me. I'd be like, who are you, crazy white man? Well, that is what it would take to do complete teshuva for something like that. And it's things like that where things that I've done, I know there's absolutely no way that I can the only thing I can do is I can say I'm sorry for saying generalizing disparaging statements about most ethnic groups and most demographics of about anyone. I'm very sorry. I'm very arrogant, ungrateful, proud, and jealous person. Please forgive me. And so it's with the 13 views that most of these streams get, it's unlikely that every anyone would even hear that, let alone do their part in order for to give forgiveness, in order for the teshuva to be complete. So the only other remedy is to teach other people about it, so that they don't make those same mistakes, or at least stop making them from now on, or at least consciously make an effort to try to limit it. That's another thing that's really important for people to keep in mind. Everyone's going to fail, mostly over and over again. The key is to not give up, to acknowledge the failures, to do teshuva, acknowledge it, say that you're sorry, ask for forgiveness. Educate yourself about the sin. Build a fence to not commit the sin again. Whatever kind of mental or physical safeguards that or behavioral things a person has to put into place to limit those things. Like, I know I have a tendency to say a lot of stupid stuff online if I go to forums where other people are at that do similar things. So I know that it's best if I just don't go to those places at all, like completely. But if I do, I just have to limit my time there, and I have to limit the people that I'm interacting with. Like, for the most part, other than the stupid stuff, the shtiot I post on Larry's page, I generally just post clips of Torah lectures and occasionally a few words about stuff that I find, or I don't do that too often anymore. I found most of the time it's just better to leave it to a professional. At least for the most part. Yeah, no average person. You can find an overlap in, like, a vague group of traits or behaviors for like a certain percentage of a demographic. Like, all Russians are no. No, that was the example that Ravlev Lerner gave, or when that was the example he used, I should say, in think it was before they started Hilkot Teshuvah, when they were still on Hilkot Diot of the Mishnah Torah. One of the students was asking a question about something, and something related to Teshuvah or some kind of ruling on Holocaust or interactions with other people. And he said something about Russians or something like that, or and he said, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't say that. No, no, no. You never want to say anything about, you say this guy, or this guy is this guy is X and he did whatever." Or but really, when a person learns about Lashon Hara, it's permissible to speak about certain things if it has a benefit. If it can teach someone something. But but then you don't want to use the person's name. You want to be like this guy, or this guy I know, or this person, or use like generalizations and only include information that is absolutely necessary to convey the story and the lesson that you're trying to share. So if it's not vital that they're vital to share that they're a Russian or a Mormon or a Jew or a Roman, it's best to leave it out of the story. And the difference on battery life on this new phone compared to the old one is pretty staggering. Going an hour and a half already. Still 68%. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay out here and power through the phone dying, though. Hopefully, anyone that missed the beginning and the first part of this stream, that's tuning in late, will take the time to rewatch the rest of it. If you have the time. God is so merciful. Doug's Doug's first channel had. I'm not sure if all the mods made the transition or if how many did to the B channel that became Doug's super important massages. But there was a mod on the first channel. His name was Vern. He posted a video back in the summer of 2020. I think middle or towards the end of the summer, something like that. Kind of a really short video in the dark. It seemed like he had as much of a challenge speaking his mind as I did at first, but he was still still driven to as hard as it probably was for him, or at least that's the way it seemed. Maybe I'm wrong, but he asked about if people deserve mercy. I can't remember exactly what the rest of what he said, but I think it was something like that he didn't know. The truth is, people really don't deserve. People really don't deserve the mercy that they get a lot of the time. Especially with how unfavorably and how unfavorably people judge others. I mean that I asked that question on ARFCOM like end of the summer, fall of 2020 before I got banned. If people thought that they receive the mercy that they give in the world. And they definitely don't. But it's not like most people think. The mercy and the way a person views another person definitely weighs heavily on the judgment that they receive. I'm not sure if it's totally measure for measure. It probably should be. And for some people that are just just really not nice people. There's probably not a whole lot of defense in their court case up there. So there's probably not a lot they can do. But most of the time, I think most people have done at least a few good things to where they the times where they've been judgmental and unfavorable toward others isn't viewed quite so harshly. As horrible and scary as the punishments that a person can get after they leave this world, even for people that are where their scales tip to the good side. It's I seem to have lost it. Oh yeah. It's, there's so much mercy. He doesn't expect us to be perfect. He does expect us to try. And when we get up there and or before the court of heaven, it's us that will be the harshest judge. Because of how many things that we could have done that we didn't, that were right, and how many things that we shouldn't have done that were wrong that we did. Yeah, it's very important for a person to rebuke themselves, but it's also important to have perspective and not Not beat yourself up over it. Just see it as the truth. Find a way to resolve it, and look for the tools and ask for the guidance to refine yourself and more closely emulate his traits. I think I'm going to go inside and get warmed up and try to do a little bit of studying before I go to sleep. God is so great. May all help us to refine ourselves, to complete our teshuvah, and fulfill his will and our own purpose. With a great deal of his help. I'll talk to you guys soon.